Hello, my name is Monica Schauer, and I'm a research specialist in the Soil Science Department at UW-Madison. In this video, we're specifically going to cover soil sampling in an on-farm research context and understand why it's important to get an idea of soil fertility not only in that first foot, but also in the second foot of that soil profile. Soil sampling and testing is a key component for nutrient management planning because it gives you an idea of the soil fertility and the crop needs going into the growing season. When we think about conducting on-farm research, this is a research project that's going on your own field to answer a question that you have, and usually this is some sort of comparison that we're making between two management practices. In some work that we've done at UW looking at the effect of cover crop on soil nitrogen, we've seen that there is less nitrogen in that soil profile where a cover crop was grown. Sometimes we see this only in the first foot of the soil profile, sometimes we see it in the first and second foot, and sometimes we only see it in that second foot, again showing that it's important that we need to sample that second foot. In order to take this sample, you're going to need a sampling probe with an extendable rod that's going to help you get into that second foot of the soil profile with ease. You're also going to need a Sharpie or tape or zip ties where you can wrap it around the probe or mark on the probe where that extendable rod needs to extend to in order to get to that second foot. And you can use a tape measure or a ruler in order to figure out where that point is. You're also going to need a probe cleaner, which works really well, especially if you're working in a heavier clay soil, to clean out that probe between samples. You'll also need sampling bags. The bags from the laboratory where you're going to send the sample off for analysis work great. And you'll also need buckets to put the samples in after taking them out of the probe. Usually the soil probes are a little longer than 12 inches, so you're going to want to measure from the tip of your probe to the foot mark and mark it with your Sharpie or zip tie or whatever you're going to use. So then to take your sample, you're going to clear the ground of any organic matter. Then you're going to insert your probe into the ground, give it a spin, and pull it out. So then once you have your core, pop it out to get it loose, and then dump it in your bucket marked for the first foot soil sample. In order to get down to that second foot of the soil profile, you're going to need to figure out how far your rod needs to extend so that you're getting to the right depth. To do that, you can push down on the foot pedal, pull the rod out, and then measure how much further you need to go to get to that second foot. So you need to get about here on the rod. You're going to push that in so it is flush with the probe. So then you know that when you're taking that sample, when this is flush, that you're going to have that second foot of the soil profile here. So then you're going to want to mark that, and here you can use your Sharpie, zip tie, or tape, and you're going to see where the top of that extendable rod lines up with the hole. So that's the point you need to get it to when you're taking that second foot. You're going to stick your probe back in the hole where you took the first foot, step it down into the hole, and then you're going to jump it in, extend the rod to that point that you marked on your probe. You're going to step down on the foot pedal again to lock in that extendable rod and get down into that second foot. Now to get the second foot sample out, you're going to pull up on the probe as far as you can, push back down, and pull back up. And there we have the second foot of that soil profile. So now you're going to put your core into the bucket. So now that you've got your soil cores taken, you can mark your bag and place them from the buckets into the bag. So we'll put the soil from the first foot in sample number 1 and the soil from the second foot in sample number 2. Then you can seal up your bag, and once you have all the samples you need to take for your project, you can drop it off at the lab or send them in.